If you were in the classroom teaching a course to students on how to start their own business, what advice would you give them?
Know yourself. And when I say know yourself, it's a thing of prepare yourself for hard work. Think through the plan as to what it takes to get things done. You've got to be very focused on what it is you want to do. You've got to think of relationships. Make a list of all the people that you know. Talk to them. Tell them what you want to do. Be very careful, though, in telling people what you are going to do, because when you start talking to people, some people will tell you, no, you can't do that before you even get started. So you've got to be very focused on what it is that you want to do and tell them about your story. Capitalization, finances. Some people say that you don't need that, but finance is definitely the thing that you will need when it comes down to owning your own business. And when I say that, there are many programs that can help you finance your company. So that's nothing to fear from that perspective, but you've got to know how to manage your money once you start making it. And a lot of people say go out and open up a business by opening up renting or leasing. Your home is a good place to start. There's nothing wrong with starting in your home. As a matter of fact, I started in my basement. At one time, I had 6 people working out of my home until I landed the right contract that I could actually go out and lease a building. In leasing the building and in going out, the contracts began, and of course, we were able to get contracts, and we are where we are today.
Social media is huge, a phenomenon globally, and it connects us to bits and pieces and giant machines of technology. What are some of the skills you think that one must have in order to be savvied or well-versed in the world of technology?
It is so funny you bring up social media. Back in the day, when I started Data Solutions and Technology, a computer cost me $7,500 to get started. Today, you can get a computer for a matter of a couple of $100. And of course, we were just discussing that. Students today automatically just pick up technology toys and began playing games and everything else like that, whereas I call old folks like myself, it takes me a time of studying and everything else like that. Social media is the way of movement of today, both from an educational perspective as well as from an industrial perspective.
Leadership, your definition of it.
Leadership is being able to lead others to get the work done, a task done.
Has it been difficult times in your life where you felt like giving up?
Of course there have been.
For example?
In starting Data Solutions and Technology. It's a thing whereas when you start off in a small business, as I said, you always have these ideas. When I was in the military, I worked for a large organization. In transitioning out and doing the military, I got out and I went into the reserve program. I was fortunate enough to work for Johnson & Johnson Healthcare Products Division in Sherman, Texas, McDonnell Douglas. I was able to truly tour the world and working for McDonnell Douglas, which is now Bowie, which shows you how organizations transition. Even though this was a billion-dollar company, it transitioned. And here it is, a little farm girl who has grown up, now wants to own her own business, and is dreaming of a $500 million company by 2015. Can I make it? Can I do it? But what has kept me going, what has kept me focused, are the sayings from my parents of, if you can conceive it and believe it, you can achieve it. And if you work hard for it, it will come. And that's what's happening. And God, through divine intervention, I have been very blessed with meeting very good, capable people, and they have seen me through.
Has it been difficult for you as an African-American professional, educated woman, dealing with biases in the business world, trying to hurdle over those obstacles?
Of course there have been. There have been different, I'll just start with a simple example of my banking relationship. And when I first moved to this area in 1987, I immediately established a banking relationship with the bank from a personal perspective, because I knew eventually my plans were to open my own business. In having the relationship with the bank, I had, and of course I had always had an outstanding credit, outstanding banking record. When I opened Data Solutions and Technology in 1994, and I approached the bank about giving me a line of credit, it was immediately stated that I was a woman, I was a black, I did not need a line of credit, I needed a loan. And my whole contention was, no, I want a line of credit. A line of credit is a form of a loan because you've got to pay the money back, but you pay as you use the money, not just have the money and start paying interest on it. In approaching the account executive, who was not aware of who I was except for when he pulled up the record to see that I had been banking with the company since the bank since 1987, and now this was 1994, I was just one of their patriots, but at the same time, it was like, she's been with us and she's had a good banking record, and he saw what my deposited amount was at that time, and now she's taken on a big risk of owning her own company. So he told me he had to go back and do the research and he would get back with me. So after I left my own bank, I went to 2 other banks that I had no banking relationships with at all. In going to those particular banks, they allowed me and gave me a line of credit, okay? So I basically put that line of credit with the bank that I was banking with on hold. I continued to market until I was able to get a contract, a large contract where I really needed the line of credit. So in going to larger or government agencies, the first thing they ask you about was your line of credit. Knowing that I had not established that line of credit, I went back to my bank, and when I went back, that was about a year later, a new account executive had my record. She said, why are you asking for a line of credit when you were approved for a line of credit and you did not come in and sign for it? And immediately it was like, I was not called about the line of credit. I didn't know I had the line of credit with my bank. And she said, yes. And she said, what are you doing now? So I explained to her what had happened to me and everything else like that. She doubled the amount that I was approved for with the line of credit based upon what I was doing and the record that I had built. The reason why it took me some time to build that story up, I go to say that with that bank, I had a banking relationship for 15 years. Every time I went back to that bank, I was able to get anything I wanted basically, because I made sure that the banking executives understood. When I went in, I told the account executive that yes, I am a minority, I am a female, but I will be one of the most successful companies that you've dealt with, and I will always pay you on time. So based upon that record, that's why I was able to build my credit line from several $100,000 to now several million thousands of dollars.
Well,
several million dollars.
When you hear that kind of success, what comes to mind is we applaud you, because very seldom when we see hardworking individuals like yourself on shows like this, it's like basically talking heads. Sometimes people think it's artificial, but when we're able to cut through and hear how difficult and the success, this is what motivates and mentors Bowie State University students who are in the science and communication and education and business, because we need that enthusiasm. With that said, Deborah, what do you foresee with your corporation and yourself in the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, number one, we have our quality management system, and we go over this almost on a weekly basis. We want to continue to maintain and provide 100% customer satisfaction to our customers. Again, that goes back to being one of the best consulting companies. Secondly, we would like to realize the goal of $500 million by 2015. That's what I'm talking about. And of course, when it comes to the HBCUs, we definitely want to be in a very big position in order to give back to our HBCUs.